Okay, so we're going to continue this little still life a little bit more, and I'm going to go, put a few other things into the cloth. I'm taking some phthalo blue, which essentially is the green blue, okay? And you actually can see it in some of the patterns of the cloth. I'm actually going to sort of scumble in the pattern. I'm going to try to establish, again, there's cast shadows from these objects, and I'm again further trying to establish them now. And again, I'm mixing phthalo blue and white with some neo-megaglyph. And again, I'm going to sort of overlap some of the shapes. This is the edge of the cloth, and it sort of goes into the shadow here. And I'm actually putting some, I'm going to actually put in some, again, there's a ridge back here. Okay. And I'm actually going to try to whip in some abstract shapes. If you see that, is that sort of an abstract pattern on the cloth? And it basically is in this phthalo, this sort of bright phthalo blue and white. And again, I'm sharpening up some of the edges where these objects meet the cloth. So I'm actually minimizing some of the blurring that I did earlier. Again, now we're brightening things up compared to last week, so I'm overlapping this. And I'm sort of fuzzing out the cloth into the background. A little bit of it into the cast shadow regions, not much. Okay, a little bit more. Again, I'm trying to get some paint on here. See how that brightens it up? And again, where the objects sort of meet the cloth, I'm actually going to punch up the edge. I'm going to make the edge a little bit harder, particularly on the light side. So now I'm starting to worry a little bit about the edges. Reestablishing them out a little bit more. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to go in with the other brush, and I'm going to reestablish some of the highlights. So I'm going to go in with some white, a little cadmium medium, not much, more white. And I'm actually going to start hitting the highlights. There's one here. And again, you guys could use a smaller brush than the one I'm using. I'm seeing all these little reflected lights on these objects. And I'm reestablishing some of the highlights that we sort of painted out. And I'm going to dull this down in a minute. You'll see what I'm going to do in a second here. Again, the light is coming from the other side, so I see a highlight on this side of the goblet. Okay, because that's what the light is coming from. And some of these they're actually as bright as I'm actually putting them in. Hit the back of that with a highlight. Highlight there, a little highlight on the rim here, slight highlight on the handle. Okay, now there's also some reflected light on this, and I'm going to hit that with white and some yellow ochre, and so I see sort of reflected light here, I see some here. This is reflected light that's bouncing around in the room. Sort of establish that shape. There's a little bit here, there's some here.
What's the color you're using there?
This is yellow ochre and white.
Yellow ochre.
Yeah, mostly yellow ochre though. So this is a duller yellow.
And the other was white and...
It was pure white. I'm going to dull it down in a second. The reason, these are reflected lights from the rooms on this side, so it's a duller, it's secondary light, so it's not going to be as bright as these highlights, which is directly from the lamp above. And again, all these secondary highlights are on the dark side. Okay, and now I'm going to smoosh them in a little bit, particularly on the secondary. I'm just going to sort of fuzz that in. See, I'm trying to get shape now to these objects. These objects are round. I'm trying to make them go around, so I'm actually trying to paint in the directions of the form. So I'm smushing these in a little bit. And now I'm actually knocking down some of these whites I put in my, sort of actually even blending them in a little bit with the same brush. Okay? That's the edge of the goblet. I'm going to punch that up a little bit more. I actually see some reflected lights in it, so I'll hit that a little bit. Okay. Let me go back and reestablish these highlights a little bit. Particularly the real bright ones I'm going back in. I'm going to hit a little bit cadmium yellow in that, so I actually see some cadmium yellow in some of these highlights. I'm going to hit some of these with cadmium yellow. This is bright cadmium yellow into a little bit of white. There's a little bit on the rim of this right here. Again, it's real bright back there. Like there. A little bit more here. Again, it's a little bit over here, but not much. Just barely see it. And a little reflected light. Again, a little reflected light. I'm using cadmium pure. This is pure cadmium, cadmium yellow medium. And again, I'm trying to make this thing go around a little bit more. Okay. Let me just hit on just the edge of this. I want this edge to come out a little bit so it actually seems to come forward right to the samovar and back of it. And there's a little detail on the goblet that I didn't get. I'm going to put that in now. The little rib here goes around like that. On the bottom that goes around, I'm going to punch that up a little bit with cadmium yellow, medium. I'm almost done here. Punch up a little bit more, a little bit more. Punch that rim up a little bit more. Again, there's just a highlight. I just barely see it right there. There's a bright one right there. I'm going to punch that up a little bit more. And there's a highlight here that I didn't get. Highlight on the back rim, highlight on the back rim. Again, I'm going to put some of the structure on the vase right now. Again, it gets very light right under it, where the light's hitting it. Okay, cut it, Nick.